So now move on to the next question. So do you have any experience of Terraform multi-provider deployment? Have you worked on the multi-provider deployment like AWS, Azure, GCP?
Yes, so we have tried for one of the projects where we were we were asked to create a resources, mainly VMs in the Azure and the DBs in the AWS. So yeah, we did that. You have to just specify the two providers flag. Anyway, when you say a provider, underlining it will be using the published modules only. When you just execute Terraform in it, whatever you have mentioned in your Terraform file, that will get downloaded, and it will be keeping it inside your .terraform folder. We did that and we can do it. So that feature is available.
Okay, all right. So could you please tell me what is metadata in Terraform?
Metadata is like a data of the data. There mainly if you have want to specify some tags or some kind of life cycle, then those things can be considered as a metadata. If I have a AWS instance and I want to add a particular tag to that AWS instance, like okay, this is my web service and this is my DB service, or name key value pair I can apply it. So that will come as a metadata, because apart from this, the main AMI or the region where I want to run, or the VPC ID where I can run it. So those things considered as a main data. And similarly, with the lifecycle block, I can think of we have a number of options, right? Ignore changes or create before destroy, or prevent destroy. So all this data will be acting as a metadata, the data of data.
Okay, all right. So suppose we have a plan to configure our server in the target environment. Which Terraform service will help us to install the server or configure the server?
You mean to say which Terraform command?
Yes, it's not command. Maybe you can say what are the product is available which is helping us to configure the server which is already installed in the cloud platform.
Okay, so how the Terraform works is if that would answer your question, because I kind of missed the questions.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. For example, we provision 5 server in cloud, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in 5 server, we want to configure, we want to install some softwares.
Mm-hmm.
How will do that?
Okay, while servers coming up itself, you want to install some software. That is your question.
Yes.
So, if I take an example of, in both the cases, in Azure and AWS, there is something called as a user data, right? That user data you can configure in your main.tf file itself. When you are bringing up your instances in the resources, the AWS AMI, what you are doing, there itself you can specify as a user data, and whatever the
Hello.
if you want to install some proxy servers, or
Good
if you
evening.
want to install some JDK during the runtime itself, you can keep those commands in a particular script, and that script you can call it in your Terraform file, so that whenever the instances come up, so by reading this user data, the Terraform will install all those packages while the coming up the server itself. While coming up the instances itself.
Okay. So what is provisioner in Terraform?
So provisioners, there are two kinds of, if I'm not able to wrong, remote and local provisioner. So the remote provisioner is the one where you can take a help, you have you want to execute, you have created your instances, and post that you want to get into that instance and you want to execute some script or some commands. Then using the remote provisioners, you can do that. You have to just pass your SSH username. If there are any password or any private key, that you have to pass, and obviously IP to make the connection string. Once the connection is made, you will define your commands in a list or in an array basis. so that the Terraform will as a when that part will come, the Terraform will get into that particular server, and by reading this array list, it will just execute all the commands which are there. So that is the use you can take. But the user data is while coming up the instances itself you can do, but this is the one, once you are done with your instance creation, you can do this.
Okay, suppose we are very new to the system, but we are planning to configure the Terraform to build the cloud infrastructure, whether it is AWS, GCP, or Azure, right? So, what is the prerequisite to set up Terraform with the cloud and provider?
You need to have, like, the Terraform got installed in your machine, so that is first main the first main prerequisite I can say. And it is not dependent on any other I guess any other not programming language or something like that. You will be having one host machine, that will be a parent machine where your Terraform will be installed and you will be running your Terraform commands. And then you need to have a connection for your cloud services from this host machine. So for that you can configure, if I take example of AWS, I need to create a AWS IAM user, with the programmatic access, so and secret key. That programmatic access or secret key I can take and I can securely configure in this host machine, either as a environment variable, or better option is the Terraform cloud itself. So in the Terraform cloud, once you configure it, so the Terraform will be able to make connection, or it will be able to make communication with the crowd, that is the target, and with the host, the host machine. So these are the pretty much prerequisite we need to make, when you want to have the complete setup. Sorry.
Okay, so if I'll talk about the state file, so why state file is required instead of and where should we store our state file in cloud? Could you please explain a little bit more about the local state file and remote state file?
Yes, sure. So the local, first I'll tell you the state file. The state file use is like Terraform will have a Terraform will go with the concept called actual state and the desired state. Once you create it, once you create something in your cloud, so those details will be maintained in the Terraform for the future use. And the next time when you update something, so Terraform will read this state file and it will see, okay, this is my state and these are the updated ones, so I need to make like this. So referring that, it will do. So for a Terraform, state file is a crucial, it is a source of truth. If we lose the Terraform, if we lose the state file, it will be a problem, because the Terraform thinks those set of resources are not created in first place at all, and it will try to recreate it. That would create a ambiguity, and that will create a cost related problems. The cost will be more. So this is the main use of the state file, first point. Second point is the local state file is the one when you don't configure any backends or any cloud related, when you are dealing with a cloud, when cloud related resources to maintain your state file. So in the parent folder itself, the Terraform will create the TF state file. That will be your the local state file. So there are the chances you can you can lose that particular TF state file. That would be a problem again. So it is not recommended. Even Terraform itself will not recommend. Only for the testing purpose or for learning purposes you can do. But if you are moving towards some development or QA or production like environment, Terraform will suggest to configure TF state file using Terraform cloud or some public clouds. If it is a AWS, you can configure it inside AWS S3. You have to just configure it as a backend, and then you can use DynamoDB to store to get the logs. Log feature also. So using DynamoDB and S3, you can configure for the Terraform state file, where your TF states file will be stored in the S3 bucket, and the particular log will be stored in the DynamoDB. So yeah.
Okay, so tell me something. What is the variable? What type of variable we are using in Terraform?
Okay, the variables are mainly like I mean, when you don't want to hard code anything, like when you want to write a Terraform code in a more no, like I mean developer friendly way, or you can it is very easy to change if something, like I mean the some values, if you want to change, it is very easy for the developers or whoever is maintaining the Terraform. So that's why we will maintain the variable.tf file. So variable.tf file will have you can have either string, or you can have either map, and I think list also you can have, if I'm not wrong. So those three I can remember as of now. Those are the data types you can maintain. Int also you can maintain. So you just maintain. I mean, you just mention the variable name and that particular type in your variable dot file. If there are no default values, if you want to go with the default value, you can mention also. If not, then I mean those variable file you will be specifying in your main.tf, and when you run the Terraform apply or Terraform plan, you will be specifying these variables, like the runtime, like it will ask you what is the value you need to provide. You can do that, or you can maintain a tf var file. There you can specify, in that var file you can pass it during the runtime.
Okay. Suppose when I am writing a Terraform code, so I am defining one variable file called terraform.tfr, and one file I am creating dev.tfr. What is the difference between these two files?
Terraform.tvar and dev.tvar. Okay, I think you are going with the concept of workspace over here, if I'm not wrong. Like, I mean, you have a different workspaces, and depending upon the workspaces, you are maintaining the variables. So I guess the Terraform tf-var file, what you mentioned, that would be come around the default workspace, and the dev tf-var file will come under, I think you have maintained some workspace named as a dev workspace, and that is specific to that. So when you execute the Terraform apply command, like I mean respectively, you will pass those the tf-var files.
Okay, Terraform initialization init command, what is the activities done?
So when you execute Terraform init, first Terraform, like I mean, will look for the provider what you have, I mean, mentioned in your main.tf or in your tf file. So depending upon that, it will try to pull those modules. Like I mean, there are published modules. Like I mean, if I specify my provider as a AWS with a particular version, depending upon that, it will pull the published modules, and it will keep inside. I mean, it will create a folder that is .terraform in that particular root structure only. So that is the first thing. The second thing, what it will do, it will create a log file. It will create where the concurrent user or the parallel users cannot execute. I mean, cannot make any changes until and unless the log has been released. So these two are the main features the Terraform init command will do.
Okay, so whenever I am executing Terraform apply, so again and again the prompt is asking me to you need to authorize, then you can able to create.
Yes.
So that prompt I don't want to raise that prompt. Are you going to create? I don't want. So then for that, which command you need to write so that the prompt will not ask you to, are you going to create? Are you going to destroy?
Yeah. So if you are, I mean, if you are dead sure about with your the changes, then I would recommend go with the Terraform apply auto approve. Like I mean, auto approve, because this would come in handy when you are setting up your Terraform script, your automation pipeline. So that's how we did over here. If you do that, it will not ask you the user prompt, and it will just go and it will execute it.
Okay. For example, the business wanted to create, just they have a requirement to create 100 server or maybe 50 server in a particular region. So how we will create that 50 server in one go?
So you can take a help of for each or count. Like I mean, if it is an identical one, better you go with a count. Like I mean, you just specify in your tf-var files the count variable. Like I mean, whatever the count number you have, and then in your main.tf you have the logic just to loop over the count. Like I mean, count count square bracket index and execute it. Star also you can use. So if you want to have the identical structure, so basically you will go with the for each or the count.
Okay. For example, the VM is already created by someone manually, but business want that we don't want the manual creation VM right now. We don't want, so everything should be implemented through Terraform. Then how will do that? This kind of solution, how will we execute that? So that
Sure.
yes.
Yeah, so you can take a help of Terraform import here. So what you can do, let's say there are 5 instances are created by Terraform and 1 instance is created manually. So what you can do, you just mention one a dummy value in your resource block and just execute the Terraform import command. So that import command for that particular instance ID, the command goes like this: Terraform import resource type dot resource name. Or the instance ID. So that will pull that particular instance ID's details into your TF states file. And then you can execute Terraform plan to see what is the difference. You will get to know the manually created instance ID details over there. Take that and update in your main.tf and execute Terraform plan again. See there are no differences. And if you are okay with that, just go and do Terraform apply. The one problem with this is Terraform import, you have to execute, if there are number of instances, so it is a tedious job. You need to have some kind of automation scripts written to take care of this. Otherwise, if you go manually, the bulk you cannot do at one go. So that is the only problem. That's what I faced.
Okay. Apart from Terraform, which programming language do you have? Do you know?
So with respect to infrastructure as code you are asking?
No. Apart from IS